I think every drug is got their own issues.
People are just trying to experiment.
So you can't actually get rid of drugs.
I use them all the time.
It's their only choice.
Drugs are a way that people are escaping the reality of what's in here.
No one, half these drug addicts, I ain't got a Danny how to even phone up to sort something out.
Hello, how are we doing? So we are doing an experiment. We're on Maidstone town centre, and I want to go and ask people what they think about drugs. Is one more lethal than another? Is one more acceptable than another drug? So we're going to ask some serious questions. You know, if you go on Google and type in Google, you will see that it says that the most taked drug, you know, the most drug what is being used, the most widely broadened drug what they use is weed, and then I think it's powder cocaine, then it's amphetamine, ketamine, but we don't hear about the heroin and the crack cocaine so much, you know, because when I was growing up, it was like that was the scumbag drug, right? That was, you know, like skaghead. That was the naughty drug. That's the drug what really causes people to do horrible things in life. Yeah, I know this because I was an ex-heroin, an ex-crack addict. So look, we're in Maidstone, and we let's see what people say. So hello, how are we doing? So we're doing a project, yeah, and we're looking at drugs, the effect of drugs, what it does, you know, in a town like Maidstone. We're in Maidstone now, and I just want to ask you, what is your understanding on drugs?
Right, so I actually study addiction science for my Masters at King's College. So my perspective to drugs might be a little bit different to other people's.
That's good.
I'm not anti-drugs. I don't think that addiction is something that is really a choice. I think there's a lot of like social factors that impact why people get into drugs, why people feel like it's their only choice. In terms of seeing people that may have been on drugs in this high street, I think that there's not a lot of harm reduction services around that people can go to. I don't think that due to stigma that it's very easy for people to access harm reduction services, and that there's not a lot of information around about it. So I think instead of viewing people that are on drugs around in the centre and stuff like that, it shouldn't be looked down upon, but it should be an opportunity for people to get knowledge and education about using drugs and where they can go to get help. And if people are more accepting of the reasons that why people do it, then it'll be easier for people to go and seek help for doing it.
Wow, I've got two questions for you. One, do you think heroin or crack cocaine is worse than powder cocaine, or worse than weed?
In terms of what it does to your body and how damaging it can be, obviously crack cocaine and heroin are more damaging. You're more likely to die from overdosing. They're more addictive chemically in your brain, but I don't think that partaking in them is like one's not worse than the other really. At the end of the day, they're all drugs, they're all psychoactive and affect you, and you can all get addicted to them.
Wow, I love that. And then, if you had one message, just say that the government was going to see this, yeah, and then we can influence the government. What message would you say to help the government be more effective in their decision making?
I would say that, first of all, drop the prohibition approach to drugs, stop looking at it through punishment, but actually get involved with talking to people and their experiences and use that in your policy making.
So, how are we doing? So, I'm here today and I'm just asking questions down the Maidstone Town Centre about, you know, is drugs okay?
Okay.
What do you think about drugs?
I use them all the time. Prescription.
Prescription?
They're the only kind.
Yeah, so it's okay if the doctors describe it, yeah?
Yep.
So all the other drugs, what have been used by youngsters growing up, people being controlled, it's definitely a no-no?
I think it's very foolish. It's just very foolish. They'll learn in time it's foolish, but you can't teach them anything, young folk.
Yeah. So what do you think about, because there's different levels of drugs, do you think drugs is drugs, or do you think like weed is okay, or heroin and crack cocaine is like really bad?
Well, weed seems to be reasonably benign. I don't know much about it, but it seems to be really benign. And the police waste a lot of time chasing weedy people when I think it's silly. But cocaine and heroin, slippery slope.
Yeah. All right, cool. So what can we do then? You know, like me, you, what can people do to help these people conquer and step into recovery, conquer that addiction?
The South East News, yesterday, there was a clinic in Hastings, I think, which is the drug centre of the world, so they say. And they've got a really good programme to rehabilitate people who have really suffered from those kind of drugs. So that seems to be the best thing. They've tried a little bit in Maidstone at Trinity Church, but it needs another booster really.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you very much, sir. So, we've got two wonderful men here and just want to ask some questions, yeah? Do you think drugs is okay?
Nah, I don't think drugs is okay because like a lot of young people nowadays are taking them and like experimenting with it from like friends or whatever, nights out, and like there's a lot of people that don't really have experience with what they're doing or even don't know what it is, they're just doing it because other friends are. So I feel like people are just trying to experiment, but at the end of it, it's affecting their health, you know?
What are you seeing? What's the effect of these people taking drugs? What's the effect on them?
Efficiently damaging, obviously, their insides, they don't know what's in the drugs, and obviously they don't know where it's been either.
Yeah.
So it could come from, say, for a supplier, but they don't know what they've done to it or what's in it or what affects them in some ways, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really know. I think, me personally, I wouldn't do drugs, but like,
This guy's on stage.
Do you think that like there's different levels of drugs? So you got heroin, crack, that's quite a bad one.
Yeah.
Then you got weed. Do you think that drugs is drugs? They're all the same, or do you think one's?
I feel like weed can like make you not as productive, and it can like, kind of like stop you from doing stuff that you're meant to do.
Yeah.
Because like if you were to smoke weed, like you just sit indoors all day, play video games, eat pizza, stuff like that. So I don't really think. I think it's just as bad as all the other drugs, really.
Yeah. Okay, enough. I like that. It's good. So, what would you echo? People watching this today, people who might be thinking about picking up their first joint or taking their first sniff of cocaine. What would you say to them?
I'll stay away from it, right? Because there's no point of starting. Like, there's a reason why people tell you to stay away from it. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like once you started, it'll be hard to, you know, get away from it because obviously, to be in contact with it, you're already involved with the people that's, you know, taking the drugs or being involved with it. At the same time, people get like addicted very easily. So I feel like, say if you know someone personally, it'll just be that effect of, oh, he does it, so I'm gonna, you know, join in and take it. And I don't know, I think it's just a bad route personally to go down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. Well done. Thank you. So, what do you think about drugs?
I think everyone's got their own opinion and they do their own thing. It's their choice.
Yeah. Do you think that heroin and crack cocaine is worse than weed or powder cocaine?
I think every drug is got their own issues.
Or their own issues?
Yeah. Every drug makes you do different things, doesn't it?
Yeah. Do you think that Maidstone, we're in Maidstone Town Centre, do you think that the people of Maidstone are very helpful to
No.
people who's addicted to drugs?
No, not really.
No? What can they do
there's
better?
well, maybe pull their finger out their arse and actually help people that need help.
What does that help look like?
Being you.
Being me, yeah?
Yeah. People that have been there, done that,
Yeah?
and like, have come back from it happy and healthy.
Happy and healthy, yeah? So what would you like to see happen in your lifetime, like action-wise, like open doors?
New
up for-
motor.
New motor.
And a car.
New motor, new car, yeah, cool.
A couple more horses. No, I'm all right because I don't. Been there, done that. Been there, done that. But alcohol's my problem.
The alcohol, and that's a killer. I've just had a conversation with somebody out there. That's what they said. They said alcohol's killing people.
I was clean for 10 years,
Yeah.
and I don't know what triggered something. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So if you had to send one message to the elite,
ask for help.
the
That's
elite, maybe the government might
Pull your
watch
finger out
this.
and look at people that are sitting on the street and that don't want to be there. They want to be in a home. They want to be work. They want to be healthy. They just need a little bit of help.
What can they do, Lo?
Pull their finger out and stop putting money into shit.
Yeah.
Put it into people that need it. Wait.
You're looking rather well anyway.
All right, cool. Right, listen, we're just doing. Right, listen. What do you think about drugs? What do you think? I know you don't do them no
He's
more.
not asking.
But what do you think? I was in prison with you, and I've done years in prison with you. So what can we do better in Maidstone? What can we do better to help people who's got who's an addict?
Give a fuck about them for starters.
Yeah.
Right?
Care is what you mean.
Give a fuck about them. Don't excuse my language.
Yeah.
Right? They've got to come out of Maidstone.
What can we do, like? What does that look like in action?
You got to support them, help them with things, right? Because no one, not half these drug addicts, right, ain't got a Danny how to even phone up to sort something out. They'd rather go around the corner and bang something in their own.
People should care.
Right, you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Nice one. Right. Hello, sir. How we doing? You all right? So we're out here today doing an experiment, and we're about drugs. So I want to ask you what your understanding is like, concerning drugs. Do you think that one drug is worse than the other? Do you think maybe weed is okay?
Well, you can't. With people who are going around asking about drugs, you can't get rid of drugs. Drugs make the world go round. And yes, there's bad drugs and there's good drugs, but realistically, you've got to look at the statistics. The worst drug in the world is alcohol. It's probably most deaths out of cocaine, heroin, and all of this. And yes, you can't not have drugs in a town centre like Maidstone because it's how people make money, how people make a living. So you can't actually get rid of drugs in a concept. And despite drugs might be bad, but sometimes drugs is how people cope, and sometimes drugs is how people can get on with things. And realistically, that's the reality of nowadays. They're so easy to get hold of. There's so many people you can call, so many people you can get hold of, and yeah, you can't really exploit it out of any area. So yeah.
Do you think that weed is okay to take?
I think weed is it can be controversial. It's for some people it can be absolutely extraordinary. It can be absolutely amazing, but then some people they might have a bad time and turn psychotic.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a yes and no. It's good and bad, and I feel like that's with everything. You have a good and bad.
What do you think about heroin and crack cocaine, that drug?
Well, with heroin and crack cocaine, if you look into it, it's more of a what's happened in their past and what's actually got them onto it. I think it's just terrible what it's actually doing to people and how it creates and destroys lives. Like you see people on the streets just moaning for crack and heroin. You see them wrapped around poles because they don't know who they are or what they're doing. I think it's terrible. But like I said, you can't get rid of it, and it will never go. Despite if you make it banned, and despite if you put so many people in prison for dealing it, it will never go.
Yeah. So if you could send a message out to maybe the government, say the government might hear this, what would you say, information, wisdom that you could give for them, to help make it better in our society with the drug intake? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I would say make it a safe house and and have people, if they were to take things like addicts and people on the streets wanted to do drugs, I'd say make a safe house for them, make them do it there. But then again, it would never happen. And if I were to say anything to the government, I don't know, you just look around you. world's already ended, sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's what's reality in a way? That's what everyone's saying. So there's no really message you can do, but maybe try and get more help out there. Maybe try and make it safer. Maybe make it more hygienic, because with people with crack cocaine, it's sometimes not even a drug that's killing them off. It's the hygiene, it's hepatitis and all of this stuff, and sharing needles and the rest of it.
Yeah.
So maybe making it safer, I'd say, and having more control and knowing who they are and what they're doing it, and not just making them an outcast in the world.
I love it, love it. Hello, how are we doing? So, I've just got some questions I want to ask you. Is drugs okay?
Drugs are a way that people are escaping the reality of what's in here. And it is just pure escape. And you escape, and what happens when the drugs wear off? You have to deal with the shit, right? You have to deal what's within. What are you escaping from? And until you do that, you're not actually going to get to the next level of what we call the earth game. Because ultimately, what are you seeking? You're seeking connection.
So if they take drugs out of the equation, what can they do to, you know, navigate through life, to have a sound mind? What else can they do? Simple exercises?
Yes, well, ultimately you're going to have to do the work. When you're taking drugs, what are you escaping from? There is no magic pill, and nowadays there's so much help out there. So ultimately, mindfulness techniques, being present, because escaping the tyranny of the monkey mind, right? This is what gets you. So this, you know, the veil of psychological process is what stops you from being fulfilled and happy. And ultimately, learning techniques to be present, to be mindful, to enjoy simple pleasures like this beautiful breeze, this sunny day, this conversation. That's what's going to fulfill you. So look into what techniques there are out there to tame the monkey mind, to feel good in your body, feeling healthy and vibrant, and gratitude. Gratitude for the simple pleasures in life, because ultimately, yes, you think the job, the new girlfriend, the new boyfriend, the new job, you think that's what's going to give you all these highs, these escapisms, but none of that is actually going to keep you fulfilled until you learn to have that relationship with yourself. And there's so much help and techniques out there to explore for mindfulness, for healthy body and mind, and ultimately for connection to something beyond yourself. That's what's really going to make you feel good.
Love that. Can you give a message to anyone who's watching this? People who have never took drugs before and don't really understand it. People who might be really in a bad place. They've got a bad addiction.
Yes.
So is there just one simple message and encouragement that you can give?
My loves, I get it. I get it. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. And you just want to escape. And there is a space for that, to escape. But at some point, I promise you, so normally you see people who have addictions and drugs I work with a lot of them actually, and they're some of the most sensitive, loving souls I've ever come across. And the reason why they want drugs is they want to escape. It's just too much, and they're lacking meaning and real connection in their lives. So seek that out. Once you put that intent out, there are other people out there who are also seeking the same things. There are also very sensitive beings, and there is support to actually help you do the work to give you what you're really craving, which is connection, which is meaning, which is fulfillment, which is a sense of progress, and which is to somehow build a compelling view of the future together. And there are people out there that can help you do that.
Amazing.